More than 100 murders and counting. That's the grim statistic coming out of Oakland this year.
Yeah, Oakland is on pace to have the most murders in a decade since 2012, when 127 people were killed. This will make the third year in a row with a triple-digit death toll. So how can police stop the violence and build a better Bay Area?
Yeah, that's what ABC 7 News insider Phil Mateer wanted to know when he sat down with Oakland's police chief to ask some questions. Phil's here with the story.
Yeah, that is. You know, much of the violence on the streets of Oakland is coming from guns, and they're called ghost guns. And to be more specific, these guns are the type that can be assembled, they can be bought online in pieces, they're not registered. And Chief Laurent Armstrong tells me that the only way to stop the murder is to get those guns off the street. The way he plans to do it promises to be controversial. Chief, that's quite a collection of guns you have down there in the evidence room.
Yeah, quite a number of ghost guns that we've collected over the last 2 years.
Now, I understand about a quarter of the guns you take off the streets are ghost guns.
Yes.
These are automatics. These are high velocity. They are killing tools.
Yes.
And they're legal.
Yes.
Why are they legal?
Well, they were legal. New laws have obviously come out over the last couple of months that are actually helpful. One in which that we believe is really helpful is now a new law that requires these slides or uppers or lowers, these pieces that these weapons come into, to now need to have serial numbers.
Chief, let's get real. Somebody that's buying a ghost gun is not worrying about registering it or the penalties for it, right?
Right. I mean, I think the issue was that law enforcement oftentimes having a difficult time determining what we would charge people with. So prior to these new laws, ghost guns really didn't have much governance of them. And so I think these new laws at least give us some leverage to be able to leverage some federal laws against those that possess these guns.
So what would the penalty be if you had an unlicensed ghost gun, realistically?
Realistically, you're talking about possession of just a firearm.
Okay.
But then we're talking about not having the charge of possession of a registered firearm.
Right.
All firearms need to be registered and serialized, and we wouldn't have that charge to be able to bring forward against a person.
But even then, because I'm playing realistic here, that's still a nonviolent crime, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not going to mean you have to stay in jail for a while.
No.
It means you lose the gun, you get a court date, and you go back out, right?
It would still be a misdemeanor charge.
A misdemeanor. So carrying a killer weapon unregistered is a misdemeanor.
Yes.
On the same grounds as, let's say, you know, shoplifting or some theft like that.
Right? Yeah.
How does that solve the problem?
Well, it doesn't for us, for law enforcement, and these are dangerous encounters. Every time police officers come into contact with someone who is armed with one of these weapons, it is a potential risk to their lives and that individual's lives. So we're talking about high stakes. These guns should be charged at higher level. There's no reason to have them.
How much do one of these guns go for?
About $400.
$400. Cash up front?
Yeah, pretty much cash or either merchandise. Sometimes people are exchanging goods that they've come through, you know, some other exchange, whether they're stolen goods or some that they've gotten in some way, and then exchanging them for ghost guns.
You've called for reinstituting the traffic squad in Oakland PD. But we're not talking about jaywalking, ticketing jaywalkers, or failure to lead. You want those guys to be, and gals to be, making traffic stops out there on people you suspect are carrying guns?
Yeah, both people that we suspect are carrying guns, but also addressing the significant traffic safety issue that we have in the city of Oakland.
That, however, could be a hot political issue. It has been in the past, where people say that police are targeting minority communities.
Well, what I'm going to bring back is focus stops. We're going to focus on those that we believe are carrying firearms, and then we're also going to focus on those that are committing egregious traffic violations.
What do we do now? What do you do now? Do you have the cops to actually pull off this plan?
Yes. So we've grown the department over the last couple months. We've had 2 additional academies graduate. We have another academy that's going to graduate at the end of October. So as our numbers grow, we'll be able to redeploy units into some of these specialized units. And the first unit that we're going to grow is this new traffic safety unit that will be deployed by the end of this month.
Are you concerned, or have you talked with City Hall? Are you concerned about political blowback?
I'm not. I've talked to the mayor. Her and I are in agreement that we have to enforce the laws. We have to go out there and be proactive about enforcing certain laws that are making our city unsafe.
So you think the public's on your side?
I really do. From all the emails and communications that I've gotten, people are asking me, Chief, where are your teams? Why aren't you out here doing more?
Chief, how much of the gun violence is gangs, and how much of it is random?
The vast majority of the violence that we're seeing is group and gang violence.
Really?
Yes.
Targeted?
Targeted. Individuals that are engaged in conflicts across our city. We know that groups and gangs are targeting one another throughout our city. And our ceasefire strategy that works on this every single day, we are out there trying to address this. I think the data supports it. Since last week when I made some shifts in resource deployment, we've recovered over 30 firearms in 9 days and arrested over 24 people so far. And that is a pure focus on only those involved in group and gang and gun violence.
If you had a message to the people of Oakland, what would it be?
Message is the violence needs to stop, but the police can't do it alone. We need the community's help. We need the judicial system's help. We all have to be unified in addressing gun violence.
And that, of course, is one of the big challenges facing police in Oakland. Many people in the community are too afraid of the help. They're worried about that they might wind up being targets as well if they go to police. It's not a pretty picture. It's not a pretty picture, but I've got to hand it to the chief with the idea of the traffic stops. That's going to be controversial, okay? Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if the mayor and the city council stand behind it, but it's a step, and it's the only step they have right now.
It sounds like they are taking steps. It was a really good conversation with the chief. Did he say anything, Phil, about bringing in reinforcements to try to deal with this violence?
You're talking about maybe the National Guard or the Highway Patrol. That's what we hear calls for. You know, something, it sounds good, but it just doesn't work.
Right.
I could bring in a National Guard unit, and what are they going to do? Stand on a corner? Right. What are they going to do? Yeah. We bring in the Highway Patrol. That's only a short-term solution. It might work, but the state's reluctant to do that, in part because Oakland in the past has cut funding for police. So they say, why should we take up the slack? So there's that. No, he's going to make do with what he's got. He's going to try as best he can with the yields on the traffic stops to make results. But you know, this is a very dangerous situation, because when you stop someone, that is when there's a real chance that it could escalate and it could get violent. And if everyone's got a gun, it could get tricky fast. But that's what we've got to. That's the reality of the streets there.
Well, and as you point out, another academy class coming the end of the month, that may help as well, get some more cops on the street.